What's going on? Vincent Rappisardi, BigBlueUnbiased.com. In this video, I want to talk about Markus Golden. So right now, the deadline is passed. Markus Golden's rights revert back to the Giants, and he can sign a tender that would pay him only $4.1 million in 2020. Now he could decide to not sign that tender, wait until week 10, and then he can go ahead and sign with another team. But that seems kind of a long shot. Seems a little bit unlikely. If he does happen to sign the tender for $4.1 million, you're talking about a huge steal. And I don't understand why people are not giving Dave Gettleman more credit for this move. It seems like so many fans, so many media members are so quick to say how bad the Leonard Williams trade was. And people just can't stop talking about that, right? Well, how come nobody's giving Dave Gettleman credit for this? This is a home run move. First off, he signed Markus Golden last year for less than $4 million. Markus Golden then had double-digit sacks, and he was top 10 among all defenders in quarterback pressures. He had a great year. Now, 29-year-old edge rusher Markus Golden, he could potentially get back for only $4.1 million. Like I said, double-digit sacks, top 10 in quarterback pressures. He's a really, really good pass rusher. You would expect a guy that puts up that kind of numbers to get paid $15 or $20 million a year. To potentially get him back for $4.1 million? How are people not talking about this more? Like, why isn't this being talked about more often? Why isn't Dave Gettleman getting more credit? Because people are so quick to criticize him for the Leonard Williams trade and say how bad it was, even though I've talked about it before, how I think there's a ton of hidden value with Leonard Williams that people just don't realize, and I'll talk about it in many more YouTube videos, and I talk about it on Twitter all the time. But this is an incredible move. And again, people still don't want to give him credit. They're still going to say, well, it's Joe Judge. He told Dave Gettleman about this because the Patriots tried this a couple years ago with LeGarrette Blount. They still don't want to give the guy credit, no matter what he does. If he does something good, don't want to give him credit. If he does something bad, make sure you don't give him credit and continue to talk about it time and time and time again. At the end of the day, like I said, Gettleman signed Markus Golden for less than $4 million. Now, because of this tender, he could potentially get him back for $4.1 million. It's a steal, especially considering, paying an edge rusher who is that productive, probably in the $15 to $20 million range for someone that productive. Edge rushers are not cheap, obviously. So all I'm saying is, if you're going to criticize Dave Gettleman for a trade that you don't like, fair enough. But you also have to give him props where he deserves it. And I don't understand how people can ignore what's happening with this Markus Golden situation, because this is pure genius. Signing him last year and now the tender this year, he needs to get more credit for it. So that's all I got. Vincent Rappisardi, BigBlueUnbiased.com. Thank you for watching. You can follow me on Twitter at Vince Rappisardi. I have a podcast, the Big Blue Unbiased Podcast, and you can find me on many other social media. So thanks again for watching. Vincent Rappisardi, BigBlueUnbiased.com.